Good morning, and welcome to the 8th in our special Sunday series entitled From Free Will to Freedom. And today we're going to be studying and considering the 8th blessing, the mighty sun, and the 9th freedom, which is solar existence. But as this is the last of the 9 freedoms, we're going to have one more special Sunday, but this is the last of the 9 freedoms that we're considering. I wanted to do a brief recap of the previous 8 freedoms. And the first 3, bravery, love, service, are freedoms which we on the path are working on right now. That's what we're really struggling with, enjoying, and working towards. The next 3, enlightenment, cosmic consciousness, and ascension, are what we're striving to achieve on Earth. And really it is the manipulation of our karma and the control of the kundalini to open up our inner bodies, if you will. And once we achieve the last of these, the 6th freedom, ascension, we are then free to leave Earth. We've learned everything we need to and we can on Earth, and we can then go to other planes of existence, other planets in the solar system. And therefore the next 2 freedoms are interplanetary existence and Saturnian existence. And these are our distant future, you could say, where we will be learning new experiences and new lessons on other higher planetary realms. And finally, the 9th freedom, which we're considering today, is solar existence. And that is really talking about entering this door, this 9th door, and becoming an inhabitant of the mighty sun, a solar lord, or a lesser planetary lord. And that really opens up the idea of the 9th class, the 9th special service in the series will be the Mother Earth, who of course is a full planetary lord. But more about that next month. But as we get into today and this beautiful exploration of the mighty sun, I want to start with a quote by Dr. King given in 1964 in an address entitled Solidified Sunlight. Dr. King, you know, there's no doubt about it that we are living in an age of so-called progress. We're beginning to break not only physical barriers, but certain mental barriers as well. Very, very slowly and gradually, man, spiritual man, is beginning to learn that number 1, he is not alone in the universe, and number 2, he is part of a great scheme of things. That there is not only a coexistence, but a marked interrelationship between all the cells which make up the body of this solar system. And it is true that we are learning so much on Earth today. And, you know, certainly a part of the physical aspect, I believe, is the great scientific discoveries. And some of them can be great inspirations for us on the path. And I want to just mention a couple about the mighty sun. These are, you know, probably within the last 20, 25 years. And the idea that the sun, the surface of the sun that we see with our eyes, the photosphere, that's about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot. But the atmosphere above that, the chronosphere, which is, you could say, the aura of the sun, is 2 million degrees Fahrenheit. Way, way hotter than the surface itself. And the scientists are still kind of scratching their heads trying to figure that out, but they think it's something to do with magnetism. And coming from this aura, if you will, there's this great plasma or solar wind being ejected or thrown out from all parts of the sun in all directions all the time. And the solar wind is composed of plasma or ions, which are electrons or protons, flying out. And what they're doing is they're actually extending the magnetic force, the magnetic body of this great sun. And it goes so far out, way past Pluto, when it starts to hit the galactic pushback, if you will, and it's formed this huge bubble in the galaxy, and this bubble is called the heliosphere. And that, for me, really crystallizes an idea that we live within this house, this solar house, made for us by this great God, this great sun. And we live in this bubble, and we go through millions and millions of lives of experience within this bubble created by this great and mighty sun. And truly is, to me, very, very inspiring. But of course, what we're going to be dealing with today is even more important than that, and that is the interrelationship that we have here on Earth with not only the great sun, but all the beings within the sun. But we're going to be focusing on the sun and the solar lords today. And some of the most amazing truths that we've been given have been given through the 9 freedoms, in this case, the 9th freedom and the 8th blessing, where we learn about this incredible God in our midst who gives us life and gives us a way to experience and go forward and evolve. So with that, I'm going to introduce my co-host, the Reverend Shima, who will take us into the service proper. Shima?
Good morning. It is interesting to hear from Bishop Brian, our in-house astronomer for the Aetherius Society, to share a couple of relatively new insights about the sun in scientific ways that confirm what the metaphysicians already know. And I myself would never, I would say, pass up an opportunity to bathe in the radiance and warmth of the sun. For me, being in the presence of the sun for a few moments, I think uplifts me tremendously. And I think I can safely say that I'm not alone in saying this. Many would agree with me. And I've always been a self-proclaimed sun worshiper in this way. And having heard the Master Aetherius and our Master, Dr. George King, point out that we're all solidified or crystallized sunlight makes a lot of sense. And sun worship is steeply rooted in our history. As in some of the ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians, who have the sun god Ra, and the Greeks' version, Helios. And interestingly, both Ra and Helios, they are depicted to ride in a chariot across the sky. And in the native traditions, we have the Father Sun and the Mother Earth. And in the Aetherius Society, we're indeed most blessed to have received extended teachings about the sun from advanced masters from beyond this earth, such as the Master Jesus and the Karmic Lord Mars Sector 6, whose teachings, which we will focus on in the service today, as given in the sacred texts, respectively, the 12 blessings and the 9 freedoms. So I would like for us now to join together to prepare ourselves, to sensitize ourselves, raise our consciousness, so that we can receive the wisdom that has been given by these elevated beings, as well as from our beloved Master, Dr. George King. So please sit up straight, feet flat on the floor, slow your breathing, and go within. And take a few slow, long, deep breaths. And I would like to read a quote from the Master Aetherius as you continue to take some slow, long, deep breaths to center yourselves. And this is taken from the Cosmic Initiation of Earth from 1960. The Master Aetherius. Breathe deeply the great pranic energies coming from the sun, and let these impregnate deep, deep down inside of you. And you will go forwards, because your cells will vibrate in a different way, more surely. So with each breath that we take, let's now remember that we're breathing in this energy coming from the mighty sun. And the more conscious we are of this, the more charged up we will be, the more connected we will be with the mighty sun. And with this in our mind, let's now take our mind upwards into the ethers above and see there a beautiful pink radiance. Guide this down to the head and brain, down the spine at the back. Wrap it around the base of the spine, up the front of the body, till it reaches the top of the head. Then repeat this once more. Guide this pink radiance down the spine at the back, around the base of the spine, up the front of the body, till it reaches the top of the head once again. And as a balance to this, request most humbly from the Mother Earth for her violet flame of transmutation and protection to course upwards through your body and aura, all the way up, as far as you can visualize it, seeing all the draws being transmuted while you bathe in this violet flame. Then take our mind upwards into the ethers above and see their brilliant white light. Guide this down to the head and brain, and let it amalgamate with every cell within the brain. Then guide it down the neck and shoulders and into the heart center. Feel the heart center vibrate. And detach from this And for those of you who have been initiated into the mantra that we will use today, I would ask you to please join with me in the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. Otherwise, please place your palm upwards on your knees and just let the energy flow through you. And please adopt the Holy Mudra for mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. And we would like to now play for you the first extract for the service today, and it is taken from a lecture by Dr. King given in 1960 on the 8th blessing, the blessing to the mighty sun.
Blessed is the mighty sun. Blessed is the solar logos, for upon this you and I depend for that vital energy which doth take us through valuable experience. Where else do we get our energy from in this solar system? It doesn't come from some vague place, it comes from some definite place. Energy is not something vague, it's something quite definite and something which does exist, which can be seen, which can be felt, which can be used in order to give us experience through life. There's not a life stream upon this planet, not even upon Saturn, who will, for the next hundreds of billions of lives, even begin to repay the debt they owe the sun. You owe a great debt to people like Krishna, Buddha, especially to Jesus, a very great debt. But that's nothing in comparison to the debt that you owe the sun. Your little fingernail, we have been reminded by the great Aetherius, does not belong to you. Nothing belongs to you. You own nothing. No man owns anything. This little fingernail here is atoms of energy that you have borrowed for a time in order to gain experience. Experience which will eventually take you back to the one divine source again. Now, where did you get this energy from? You got it from the sun. What is this energy in your fingernail? What is it? It's crystallized sunlight. That's all it is. These microphone stands are crystallized sunlight. Aetherius reminded people once, and it took people in England a long time to really appreciate this. And when they did, some of them had great revelations overnight. He said, there is no material upon this world which is not crystallized sunlight, that you all are crystallized sunlight, and virtually that's what you are, except the spirit, of course. The spirit or the spark of God is above all material things. Therefore, it is virtually unmanifested. But all material things that you see around you and so on, all material things, even the body of the logos of this earth is crystallized sunlight, not the spirit, not the life force of the logos. No, but the physical body, just like your physical body is. So we all borrowed this energy from the great and mighty sun. And we should thank the great and mighty sun for lending us this amount of energy on account.
Now that we have heard our Master illustrate the vital role played by the mighty sun, as well as the great debt we owe to this mighty being, I think it is a good time for us to join together to send our love, our gratitude, and our blessing to this holy being, without which we cannot exist. And we will join with the Master Jesus in the 8th blessing, the blessing to the mighty sun. And for those of you who are familiar with this blessing, we will be playing just an extract of the blessing, as we normally do in these special Sunday services. And however, this extract has been put together with a very interesting footage from NASA, which will show us the sun in a way that we are not normally able to see with our naked eye. So I would ask you to prepare yourself again before we join together in the blessing to the mighty sun. So please sit up straight. And as the Master Jesus speaks, please raise your hands and focus on sending out a beam of white light from the palm centers, the psychic centers in their palms, as well as your heart center, to the focal point of the blessing, and that is to this great being, the mighty sun. And before we do that, the last point I'd like to cover is that to illustrate the importance of this blessing, our Master said in another lecture on the 8th blessing, and this time he delivered this in 1959, he said that it is more important for you to send your power and prayers towards the sun than it is towards any other intelligence in this solar system. So let's remember this while we join together in this blessing.
Blessed is the mighty sun. Blessed is the solar logos. For upon this you and I depend, for that vital energy which doth take us through valuable experience. Blessed is this one, for it shineth always in complete sacrifice upon the behalf of ye and me and all of us who dwell within its house. Send out your love to this. Send out your power to this. And know that when you do so, never in 1,000,000,000 years can you hope to repay the debt you owe to this most wondrous being, most magnificent aspect of great God. O men of earth, turn thy face towards the greatest living entity in thy system and absorb its wondrous power deep into thine eye, so that thy heart may be burnt clean of impurity, so that thine eye might dwell upon this glory, yet not for dwelling's sake purely, but more for the sake of thy brother who is blind through this part. Blessed is the mighty Logos of the great Sun.
Please lower your hands. After the blessing, the Master Jesus said the following: "If you, my children, would change from men to God-men, you would send your love always towards this great being, which you now take for granted. For this is the God of your Bible. It is the Brahma of the Hindu scripts. This is the nearest thing to God in your concept of manifestation. I personally think it is mesmerizing to look at the sun this way. It is not something that we get to see that regularly. And now we have sent our love and gratitude to the sun. I would like to invite our bishop back out here to share more about the mighty sun as well as solar existence with us.
Thank you, Reverend. Watching that video, you can almost imagine certain centers, which might be where some of these great solar lords are, sending out this tremendous power and energy. It's beautiful to behold, is it not? And I would like to just, before I get into this next section, throw out an interesting question to ponder, and that is, what is the solar logos made up from? Everything else in the system is solidified sunlight. What is the solar logos? Interesting question. Now, so we've seen this beautiful sun, this beautiful God. We sent our love and our energy to this great being. And now we're going to turn our attention to the solar lords, also known as the lesser planetary lords, lesser lords of creation. And this is, of course, the ninth door, and the door right before that is Saturnian existence. And if you were looking at the previous month and saw how incredibly advanced the Saturnians are, it's almost hard to imagine beyond that. Let's face it, the pinnacle of Saturnian existence are the perfects. So in the minds of the Venusians, they are perfect. It's hard to kind of go past perfect. But yet there is quite a bit more, of course. But to get from that pinnacle of Saturnian existence through the door, through being born through the logos of the sun and becoming a solar lord, there's a tremendous amount of more work and initiation and experience that needs to take place. And I'd like to read the words of the Karmic Lord Mars 66 as he describes this period between a perfect and between a solar lord. This, of course, is from the ninth freedom. After a successful term of office as one of the perfects of Saturn, the cosmic adept then moves to even a higher plane of existence. But before this time, it travels to the central sun of this galaxy for advanced initiation into the secrets of variable dimension. After this initiation, the cosmic adept then divorces itself completely and retires into a meditation for a period which, in terrestrial years, would be 90,000. It then comes out of this deep somatic condition of galactic consciousness and practices the 7 aspects of the white magic of continuance. After this successful practice, it again divorces itself from all other intelligences, and it goeth again into galactic consciousness for a period of 500,000 of your terrestrial years. After this stage, it then returns again to the galactic sun, the central sun, for even another initiation into the 3 aspects of creative magic. It cometh out and practices this. During this time, it can cause itself to be divorced into 3,100 parts and inhabit each part, whether it be a human or animal, at the same time. It knows consciously what experience each part is passing through and can remotely control that part to bring about a definite, predetermined result. It's amazing, really, when you think about that. Fortunately, when you think about things like the magic of variable dimension and the magic of continuance, of creation, it's very hard to get our heads around that. And our master could see that, and he said, this is not really meant for you to understand at this time. These texts have been given not just to 21st century mankind, but to mankind thousands of years in the future. So we'll have lots of lives to go into meditation and consider these things. It's not really, we can't figure it out right now. But there are aspects that do apply to us right now. And a master being the master that he was, he picks out a couple of very interesting ones. And I'd like to read this. This is from a master's commentary on this, and he starts off with a sentence in the Freedom. For even another initiation into the three aspects of creative magic. Then our master goes on, it's becoming one of the lesser lords of creation now, and it's able to create. But like us all, it's even hard to even imagine we're like them at all, but like us all, it has to learn how to do these things correctly. And so to me, that's almost an odd thing, to think that something this advanced has to practice. I guess it's logical, but it's kind of hard to think about that. And so you could almost see an analogy. We, at our level of experience, we come to a place like this holy temple, and we get initiated into a mantra, like we will have later on today, or get initiated into giving spiritual healing, and then we are expected to kind of go within, contemplate or consider or concentrate on this practice that we're given, and then we come out and we practice the mantra or the healing practice. But you have to admit that there's a huge difference. We come to a temple in Hollywood, this being goes to the central sun, in all likelihood the massive black hole in the middle of this galaxy for initiation. And think about that for a minute. This galaxy has hundreds, somewhere between 200 and 400 billion suns. And so presumably beings that are about to become sort of lords of these other billions of suns would also go to this central sun for initiation. What an amazing place that must be. The center of hundreds of billions of suns as a central location for initiation. I think we can all admit that is a little bit different than Hollywood. And then it comes out and it goes into a meditation. So we might try with our brains to go into, say, half an hour of kind of vague concentration on the mantra or the healing technique. This being goes into a meditation for up to 500,000 years. If one of these great beings was just now coming out of that 500,000 year meditation, it would have missed the rise and fall of Atlantis and everything up to now in our civilization. It would have been in meditation during that time. Staggering. Then, of course, it comes out and it performs creation, continuance, variable dimension. We can see, although the principle is the same, initiation, meditation, practice, it's such an amazing difference in range, shall we say. But it does make you feel that you are a part, you are interrelated to everything in this system. And like I say, that's just in between being a perfect and being born through the logos of the sun. And we aren't told how long it practices for. If a meditation is 500,000 years, how long is the practice? We don't know. It probably isn't a couple days. Now, we're going to move forward and listen this time to the Karmic Lord Mars Sector 6 describe the next step, and that is being born through the logos of the sun. So let's now listen to that extract, please.
Then it is born through the most sacred, holy flame in the solar system, a flame greater than anything individual, a flame which is all collective, all powerful, all radiant, a flame which is creative, for it is the flame of the solar logos. Then it enters through the flame and becomes one of the great hierarchical lords, one of the lesser planetary lords. It hath no sex, for it hath all. It can control mind and matter within a 49 dimensions. It loses even what individuality it had by entering a state of galactic consciousness. Together they blend to form the mighty sun, not the essential life of the sun, but its very radiations. This is total freedom as far as this solar system is concerned, because it is to some extent a greater limitation than any can realize. Together as the one, they work, radiating power and energy to all life streams in the solar system, radiating the very power of their bodies, the very energy of their hearts.
So here we really get to see and feel the beautiful cycle that we are a part of in this solar system. You have this great and mighty sun, this Lord of creation, which is animating billions of life streams in the solar system, taking them or allowing us all to go through experience up and up and up. And eventually, through countless lives and years, we eventually get to this ninth door. And as we enter and become a solar lord or a part of a solar lord, we then help with our own being, with our own essence, our own energy, our own life. We help this great and mighty sun give energy and animate all the other life streams behind us. And I think you can kind of see it's almost the opposite of mankind on Earth. Here the Logos of Earth gives us a chance to exist and whatnot. And we are basically a germ on her body. We're a cancer. We're holding her back. We're damaging her. We don't know who. We don't appreciate her in the slightest. And yet, finally, through countless incarnations and lives and whatnot, we become a part of the sun, and then we are actively giving everything we can to help this sun animate and give life to the other life streams in the solar system. And it's truly a beautiful, inspiring, uplifting, joyful thing to think about. And we're told also in this freedom that we don't know what love is until we enter the ninth door, because there's just such they're just so infused with love and sending this out to everyone and everything in this solar system. But our master, again, is amazingly able to pull out even more from this beautiful freedom. And he gives us an idea, a concept of how these great lords of the sun help the sun and how they actually send out this energy. And I found this truly fascinating. So now we're going to listen to another extract from the commentary of Dr. King on the Ninth Freedom. Now he does speak, this was actually given before the Nine Freedoms was published in book form. And he speaks about an article he wrote in Cosmic Voice, Volume 1. Now this article has been reprinted in the Nine Freedoms. So, and I strongly recommend that you go to the Nine Freedoms and read this for yourself. But here he does describe it well enough that I don't need to say anything more about it. So let's please listen to this next extract.
There is no possible description which could do half justice to the radiant beauty of the combined lords of the sun, for they shineth like veritable jewels around the waist of the lords of creation. For they help the mighty lords of creation to energize the solar system, so that all life streams may have the great chance to enter the ninth door. I suppose all of you now have studied the Initiation in Space in Cosmic Voice Volume number 1. I don't mean read it, I hope you've studied it, because there's far more about the space people in that than you'll learn in a lot of large books that you'll pay a lot more money for. Well, you will notice that I asked the man from Mars about the waistband of the Venusian. And in this waistband there what appeared to my very, very limited thinking to be jewels. They were actually crystals, and this band, this belt, was made specially for that particular Venusian. Couldn't be worn or used by anybody else in the galaxy. Was tuned exactly into his radiations, just as a wand is tuned into the radiations of a magician. I don't mean these fakes on the stage, by the way, you know, who reckon to have a wand, but I mean a real wand. Moses had a wand, so did the other magicians from the court. They had wands, and those wands were made exactly to their vibrations, to their radiations, to fit in absolutely exactly. That's why they could be used. If you picked up a magician's wand, you couldn't use it. But if you had one made exactly to your radiations, you could learn to use it. Well, this belt around the Venusian acted in this manner, that the crystals in it caused a vibration which brought into manifestation his thought patterns. In other words, he created a picturization in the ether. And this energy was used to mold this picturization into a manifestation. The beings on the sun are made exactly. That's why they have to go through their experiences. They're made exactly to the radiations of some of the great creative lords of creation, and they act as a jewel in the waistband of the lords of creation, as below, so above. I wouldn't say the lords of creation are like giant humans, not at all. But as the Venusian, who did that initiation of ascension on satellite number 3, used the jewels in his waistband to give that energy of manifestation of his thought patterns or visualizations, so do the beings on the sun provide the energy to bring into manifestation the visualizations of the lords of creation. I said earlier on, you are solidified sunlight. Of course you are. What else can you be? The more you think about it, the more you become absolutely certain that this is so. There's another thing too that this should do for you, and that is give you a little idea of what service is. For thousands of millions of years, the sun has shined every solitary day. You wouldn't believe it if you lived in Detroit, but it has shined every solitary day, and every solitary day and night it has bombarded this earth with itself. It has given of its own life, as you might say, to this earth, so that mankind could have experience, and so that the planet itself too could have experience.
It's an amazing visualization when you think of these great beings on the sun. They're acting like manifesting crystals virtually in the body of this Lord of creation, the sun, creating and giving life to all the beings in the solar system. And when you think about the statement in the 12th blessing by the Master Jesus, where he says that the suns are the centers of its wondrous body. The suns are the centers of the wondrous body of the Absolute. So you have the galaxy that we live in is, we're told, a greater Lord of creation. And we have the suns are lords of creation, and we have the lesser planetary lords are lesser lords of creation. So you have this beautiful synchronicity, this beautiful cycle playing out, which we are all a part of. And it's, who doesn't want a wand now? God had my wand. But maybe the next best thing is to vibrate ourselves, and we're going to be initiated later on today into the AUM, and be another way of vibrating ourselves to do our part. Which really ends this particular part, where as interesting and as fascinating as the study of the philosophy, the metaphysics of what's going on in our solar system. We now must follow our Master's lead and put a good bit of effort into the practicality, into what can we do with this knowledge, what can we do with this information, and really do our part to push this beautiful, magnificent cycle forward. And with that, I will invite our Reverend Ashima to come back and start that section.
Thank you, Bishop Brian. At our current stage of evolution, it is imperative that we learn how to use the sacred energy from the sun correctly. And we've been given great truths, such as the 12 blessings and the 9 freedoms, to help guide us to do so. But on top of that, the great beings, these most compassionate masters, have gone out of their way to help us by coming into our Earth orbit 4 times a year. And these 4 periods are known as spiritual pushes or magnetization periods. And one such period, the last one for this year, just ended on the 10th of December. So why is a spiritual push so vital or so helpful to us who are evolving back to God? And that is because, as I mentioned earlier, we're here to learn how to use the sacred energy correctly. And because we haven't actually learned it yet, so through centuries of wrong thoughts and actions, which have resulted in the accumulation in negative karma, this has led to the formation of a filtration called ionosphere around the Earth, which prevents the full force of the sun, the solar energies, to reach the Earth. And the brilliance of what happens during a spiritual push is that there is a foolproof mechanism built into it. And that is only selfless acts or actions will be potentized by 3,000 times by these advanced beings aboard the satellite, the spacecraft called satellite number 3, while in our Earth orbit. And I would like to now read a short extract from a transmission called Our Action Here, as given by Mars Sector 6. And this will give us a better understanding of the purpose of satellite number 3, what it does while in the Earth orbit, as well as a spiritual push. On satellite number 3, we receive energies directly from the mighty logos of the mighty sun itself. We condition these energies in such a way as to make them safe and usable by terrestrial man. You've been previously informed that it is known to the operators of the satellite exactly how much energy you can absorb and transmit to your brothers. This factor is known exactly. In the light of this knowledge, we're able to beam down this power upon you as individuals, you as groups, you as parts of a community, you as essential parts of a city, of a country, of a world. We're able to do this in that exact degree which you use it. If you do not use it, then by law, the energy must be reflected back to the sun. So we're indeed blessed to have this divine opportunity to cooperate with these compassionate beings who come to help us in this way. And we can use this energy and have this energy radiate outwards simply by sending out a prayer, sending healing to someone, or advancing ourselves by performing spiritual practices so that we can become a better channel to give selfless service to help the world. And now I would like to read an eyewitness account by our Master while he visited the third satellite on March 23rd, 1956. And this was published in Cosmic Voice, Volume 1. Our Master. Whilst London slept, I was about 1,500 miles away from Earth. Walking or floating might be a better term upon very holy ground on the third satellite itself. In shape, the satellite is oval. In size, it is colossal. Within, the interior is flooded with specially treated solar rays, illuminating the vessel in different colors and acting as the power supply for the many devices with which the space station is lavishly equipped. The solar rays are refracted through giant prismatic crystals and are controlled by a shading device, selecting the range of solar vibrations required and shutting out the part of the spectrum not needed. It also controls the volume of light emitted and directs the rays onto other crystals, in turn causing them to vibrate at a rate governed by the intensity of the ray and the color vibration selected, and their own predetermined resistance to the light. The magnetic energy released by the crystals so treated may be directed in turn with pinpoint accuracy to any point of the Earth's surface, from the orbiting satellite through transmitting crystals. The vibratory rate of the latter is controlled not only by varying colors, but also by utilizing the properties of sound. The planetary experts manning the satellite are able to blend changing frequencies of light and sound with the skill of a master painter mixing his pigments. The crystals are produced by a natural process of growing and are installed to perform a specific function, dictating the variation in their shape and size. During operation, they are beautiful beyond description, changing through different hues as the solar colors are brilliantly interwoven and played on them. These jewels were living things, sparkling and radiating colored lights as if from an inner fire and pulsating with a radiance far above that of precious stones upon earth. I was informed by our Martian operator that the vibrational capabilities of certain of these crystals were thousands of times that of best quality earth quartz. These brilliant scientists have, by the simple process of light manipulation, isolated the universal life forces, always referred to by Eastern sages as prana. These subtle pranas are the energies with which our saviors are flooding this dark little planet during every spiritual push. So that's a beautiful description that our Master was so kind to share with us. And I would like to now invite our Bishop to come back out once more, and for the last time, to share with us this most holy mantra, the AUM.
It sounds ominous. I'm coming out for the last time. Today. It's, I must say that description really leaves the idea of the USS Enterprise in the dust, doesn't it? They're just such evolved beings, and picturizing this massive, thousands of miles long spacecraft using the energy from the sun directly, it sounds, to light it, probably to heat it, to run all of the equipment, and of course then to use it to send to a mankind. It's just boggles the mind, really. Another interesting thing in the previous reading is you notice that the energy that they're using on the third satellite and sending here is from the logos of the sun. It's interesting. Makes you really want to get out there on spiritual push and use that energy. By the way, the Aetherius Society does a tremendous amount of work to ground and we really augment our services and our activities during each spiritual push to try and cooperate as much as we can with this the third satellite. We also have a mission that we call Operation Space Power, which we don't have time to go into today, but we will do in a future special Sunday to go into more details about how we are cooperating with the third satellite and, of course, by extension, the mighty sun, in filling our world in these days with vital power. But today, we're going to be treated to an initiation into that wonderful mantra, the AUM, by our beloved spiritual master. And this is such a potent mantra. But rather than me bind on about how important it is, I would think you'd far rather listen to our master describe really where it comes from. And so let's listen to the next extract where our master, this is in the context of a lecture he gave on the eighth blessing. So within that, we hear about the AUM in preparation for the initiation. Let's hear the next extract, please.
And once blessed in the heart of God is the spirit of this. Now, we must always remember that from this great and mighty being there are the pranic energies sent to this earth. For every they flow, there are 5 major pranas, 5 major forms of energy, and 5 minor ones. We can forget the 5 minor ones, but the 5 major ones flow steadily every 32 minutes from the sun to this earth. If you are in tune, if you have cosmic consciousness, you can hear the great recitation of the mantra AUM by the sun, great boom of thunderous energy which travels through space every so often throughout all the time of your existence and all your lives. This tremendous great thunder, Paramahansa Yogananda spoke about it in his book, The Autobiography of a Yogi. He spoke about it in a very wonderful, very compelling fashion. This great recitation is done by the sun throughout all of our existence. And these sound vibrations help to mold that which has been created. They are actually sounds of creation.
So now we see the AUM is this great sound emanating from the sun itself. And there's an interesting clue at the end there where Dr. King says that it is the sound of creation. And it almost makes you wonder which comes first, the AUM or creation? I mean, is it that these great beings are up there in Siddhasana doing mantra? Maybe not, maybe not. But perhaps is the sound being emitted by these great beings and then that's the creation? Or is it something else that they're doing that they've learned in the central sun of the galaxy, which we don't know, but what they're doing, it results in this great sound, the AUM? Interesting question. I don't know. But we do know that it is heard by, when you're in cosmic consciousness. And so who better to initiate us into this mantra and teach us how to say the mantra than someone who has actually heard it from the sun? It's really kind of hard to beat that primary source there. And so now we're going to listen to an extract. This is from the one published class that Dr. King gave on the AUM. And so if you wish to use this mantra, I strongly urge you to acquire this class, because I've cut this down to about 3 or 4 minutes and it's over an hour. So it's, you want to, if you really want to use this mantra, then I strongly urge you to get that tape, that download, and listen to it. But for the purposes of our services and whatnot, you will then be able to use this wonderful mantra, the AUM. There's a couple things that he did not say in the clips that I have here, which I'll just say right now. One is that you are not supposed to say the word unless you are chanting the word. So you refer to it as the AUM or the holy word. You don't say the word in conversation. I think that will be it for now. And then let's listen to Dr. King give this initiation. But to do that, let's do it at least approaching properly. And let's sit up straight. Close our eyes. Just for a moment, visualize the mighty sun, this great God of creation in our solar system. And almost imagine this great booming AUM emanating from this sun, animating the entire solar system. And now let's listen to the very, very short extract of Dr. King's class on the AUM.
One thing I did not make quite clear again to the class was that it is the law, not the law of California or even the law of America, they haven't advanced that far yet, but it is the divine law that one may not give a mantra to another person unless that mantra lives in them. With the AUM, it might take, several 100,000 repetitions before it begins to live in you. So you may not give it to another and initiate another into it until it does live in you. This is the law. You can break it if you like, but the karma's yours. So I strongly advise you do not do it. And the way I would do it, I favor the Om rather than the Aum. This I never agreed with. Even the first time I heard it, I never agreed with it. Because I put the AU together as a O. Not an O, but a O. You see? And you make the sound rather like Om. This business, you see? And that's the way you use it. Use it in that way. Are you to hold the M until you run out of breath? No, this should be as long as the beginning. A long beginning, a short middle, and the end the same as the beginning. So, before you start it, you should predetermine how long you can hold the M before you pronounce the first part of the syllable.
I finished up in the class by saying that you should prepare yourself by the recitation of one or two prayers before you start to use the AUM as a mantra. I also told you that the AUM was a good finishing mantra. In other words, it is a good mantra to finish any divine service or similar activity. In the beginning, you should use it more in this way. Later on, when you have conditioned your brain to use the AUM correctly, you can use it in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of such a service. But you will have to train yourself correctly for some time first. I would like now several people to give you a demonstration of the correct performance of the AUM in such a way that you can learn it correctly.
So you've now been given the AUM, and if you don't have the class, and before you get the class, you want to learn it, then just play that over a few times, maybe record yourself to make sure that you have it correctly. And again, you don't want people to be hearing you, if possible. And another thing that he didn't mention in this short extract, which he does say in the class, is that he strongly advises you not to think it. There's three forms of mantra: the out loud, the whisper, and the thinking. And he recommends that you don't try and think it for many, many years, because you just, in my translation, what he said, you'll fry your brain. So you don't want to do that. So the first two, good. Last one, not so good. So let's now, we aren't really in a class situation because most people are through that camera there somewhere. But I would like to just give everyone an opportunity to do it, say 3 times with me, and I'll do it fairly short so we can be sure that everyone can do that last M. And so I'm going to basically do a count of 4, 2, 4. But let's also listen to what Dr. King says, and let's prepare ourselves with a little bit of mantra in lieu of prayer. Let's repeat the Om Mani Padme Hum a few times to get ourselves in tune. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 and stop. So now prepare ourselves to do 3 AUMs. And we'll start with a breath out, breath in. Om. it's testament to the power of that mantra, that just doing it 3 times can really just elevate you so beautifully. And it really is a wonderful mantra. And, you know, the more that we remember throughout the day of where we are in this great cycle in this solar system and what the sun does for us, the more that we remember it, especially when we're doing our practices, it will enhance our entire life. And so, you know, you use this class to refocus on what we owe the wondrous sun. Every time you walk outside and you feel that the sun, or as Ashima says, you feel those rays, think just even briefly of what that great being is. Now, as a way of closing, I can't think of a better way than to read the last few sentences of the 9th freedom, because I think it sums it up far better than I could ever hope to. Mars, Sector 6. Walk ye straight, O men of Terra, if ye be wise, nor step ye this side, neither the other, but go ye on and up through the 8 freedoms and into the heart of God in the 9th. The 9 freedoms have been given to Terra at this time in order to stimulate and rise the consciousness of the few thinkers. Use this information well, for it will change you, for it will cause multitudinous thoughts to come into your mind, for this information will be the dawning of wisdom for you. Use it well, O brothers, use it well. I think there's no better advice that you can possibly have than that. And so with that, let's finish with the practice of the presence. And after the practice of the presence, we will all, of course, join together in the AUM. So place the left hand on the solar plexus, the right hand over the left. And think upwards, high into space, realizing that this white light comes from the mighty sun. And bring this down through the ethers of space, charging and filling the head and brain with this brilliant white light, this energy from the great gods on the sun. And bring this down the neck, flooding the heart center, this beautiful white light. And then think down to the wondrous Mother Earth, that great planetary logos who gives us sanctitude. And humbly request from her violet flame of transmutation to gently flow upwards through our feet and legs, upwards filling the heart center. And visualize just above the head our own internal sun, the golden sphere, the spark of God within us, just above the top of the head. And then amalgamate the white light and the violet flame in the heart center and send these powers as one upwards in sacrifice. Send it out into this golden sphere, this spark of God within us. And now, humbly request from this spark, the golden rays of spirituality to gently flow down, filling the head and brain, through the neck and body and aura, through all the cells, all the molecules, all the organs of the body, with this beautiful golden light. The AUM ones. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thy will, Almighty God, be done. So on behalf of Reverend Nishima, myself, thank you all for tuning in, for coming, and I hope you get as much as you can out. As I didn't say in the beginning, but it should go as read, that we're just barely scratching the surface of these freedoms and these blessings, and the next step is for you to go further yourself into the study and the contemplation and working with these beautiful truths given to us by the space beings through our beloved spiritual master. And remember, the last in this series will be next month, and that will be where we look at the wondrous Mother Earth upon whom we live. God bless each and every one of you.